Genetic engineering will change everything forever. Animals that glow in the dark. Even though it sounds like something out of a science fiction novel, these devices have existed for quite some time. Is it possible to grow scorpion-poisoned cabbages? Finally, it's done. Oh, and if you need a vaccine in the future, your doctor may give you a banana instead. Numerous other organisms have had their DNA altered and combined with other DNA to create entirely new sets of genes, which has resulted in their current existence. Genetically modified organisms, or GMOs, are commonplace in your daily diet. So hey guys, welcome back to Techverse, you all. We are back with another interesting video. Here today, we are going to tell you about the genetic engineering that will change everything forever. Let's get into the video right away. The newest genetic technologies are both thrilling and terrifying all at the same time. The modification of individual genomes or the selection of particular embryos to avoid health problems could allow society to triumph over diseases. However, it may also result in the creation of superhumans who are enhanced in particular ways, such as their intelligence or their appearance, and exacerbate existing social inequalities. There is one thing that is certain, and that is the fact that people will be able to make choices about their lives in ways that were not possible in the past when we relied more on chance and evolution than we did on deliberate thought. We are, in the words of Jamie Metzl, hacking Darwin, which also happens to be the title of his most recent book. It is a thoughtful journey through the latest genetic technologies with insights into what it means for individuals, society, and even the politics of the world's superpowers. A number of distinct aspects of Mr. Metz's varied background are brought together by the theme. He has worked for the United Nations on humanitarian issues in Cambodia and has also served on the National Security Council of the United States of America under the administration of President Bill Clinton. In the past, he has held positions of responsibility at a biotechnology company, worked as a partner at a large investment fund in New York, and run for Congress from the state of Missouri. But perhaps even more importantly, he is the author of the science fiction novels Genesis Code and Eternal Sonata, both of which are focused on genetics. Natural selection is one of the two fundamental pillars supporting Darwinian evolution, and from the beginning, we have fought against the inherently cruel nature of this process. Now we are going to start chipping away at the second pillar, which is the random mutation. Incredible new medical applications are becoming possible as our knowledge of the way genes and biology work expands. These applications include the sequencing of genomes and the development of gene therapies for the treatment of cancer and other diseases. However, the applications of genetic technologies in the medical field are merely a stop along the way to where these technologies will eventually take us. In the coming years, our capacity to select embryos for in vitro fertilization, or IVF, based on informed genetic predictions of both health-related traits and intimate characteristics such as height, intelligence, and personality type will increase. These genetic predictions can be gleaned from an individual's genome. We plan to use stem cell technologies in order to increase the number of eggs that would-be mothers can use in the in vitro fertilization process, and consequently, the number of reproductive options that are available to parents. In order to make heritable genetic changes to our future offspring, we will utilize gene editing tools that are significantly more precise than the CRISPR systems that are currently available. In the coming decades, Darwin's original concept of random mutation and natural selection will gradually give way to a process that is significantly more self-guided than anything Darwin could have envisioned at the time. We have deeply embedded in ourselves the notion that information technology is fluid. This is why we expect that each new generation of our mobile devices and desktop computers will be superior to the one before it. Even though we know intellectually that somehow we evolved from single-cell organisms to complex humans over the course of the past 3.8 billion years, it is harder for us to come to terms with the idea that our biology could be as variable as our IT. When we start to see all life, including our own, as increasingly manipulable, it will force us to think more deeply about what values will guide us as we start to alter biology more aggressively. One of those values is likely to be autonomy. If we want to avoid dividing our species into genetic haves and have-nots, which would be a dangerous reduction in our diversity or genetic determinism that undermines our humanity, we will need to begin acting in accordance with the values that we hold. However, despite the fact that we must be aware of the risks, we must not lose sight of the fact that these technologies have the potential to be used for an incredible amount of good. They may one day be able to save us from extinction-level events, such as the release of dangerous synthetic pathogens into the environment, a warming climate, the fallout from a nuclear war, or even the eventual expiration of our sun. Mr. Metzel says that although we are capable of producing stunning works of art, profound philosophical ideas, and overarching ideas such as human rights, we are also capable of wiping out millions of people in wars and genocides and continue to invest massive amounts of our collective wealth in instruments of mass murder. Although the better angels of our nature continue to be primary drivers in our development of genetic technologies, it is possible that the darker side of human nature could also be empowered through the use of these same tools. We need a very robust ethical and cultural framework in order to increase the likelihood that we will use these technologies in a responsible manner. This is necessary for a number of reasons, not the least of which is that access to these technologies will be decentralized and democratized. It would be foolish to ignore the numerous ways in which things could go wrong, despite the fact that the potential benefits vastly outweigh any potential drawbacks. If we arrogantly assume that we know more than we actually do, then we run the risk of getting burned up like Icarus did when he flew too close to the sun. It's possible that our gene drives will destroy ecosystems. These tools give us the ability to undermine both our shared identity as a species and our society's cohesiveness. The good news is that although the technologies are new, the principles that will be necessary for us to apply them intelligently are frequently quite old. Genetic technologies, according to Mr. Metzel, touch the source code of what it means to be human and therefore require regulation. This task is made even more difficult by the rapid advancement of technology, which is outpacing the ability of the governance structures that surround it to keep up with it. We will require sufficient governance and regulation on both the national and international levels to deter abuses and advance the public safety, while at the same time ensuring that the beneficial research and applications are not stifled to an unacceptable degree. There are lots of amazing inventions in genetic engineering, and I would like to share some of them with you all. In 2017, Canadian authorities allowed Aqua Bounty, a U.S. company, genetically modified salmon to be sold in supermarkets. The salmon is market ready in 18 months, half the time it takes in the wild. Oxitec created male mosquitoes with a self-limiting gene. When they procreate with female mosquitoes in the wild, their offspring die young, and this method could help fight mosquito-borne diseases like Zika and malaria. Some scientists say releasing genetically modified mosquitoes into the wild created a more resilient hybrid species. The milk produced by genetically modified cows developed in China and Argentina resembles that of human mothers. To produce milk that contained human milk-like proteins, researchers genetically altered the embryo of an Argentinian cow. Researchers, as noted by Live Science, have a long road ahead of them before this milk can be considered a safe substitute for human infant formula. So, in order to prevent potentially harmful medical tourism, every nation ought to have a national regulatory system in place that is in line with both international best practices and the values and customs that are unique to the nation in question. In addition to this, we need to get started on developing global norms that can eventually serve as the basis for flexible international regulations and standards. These systems need to be guided by core values rather than rigid rules, because things that may seem unthinkable now, like actively selecting and even editing our future offspring, will become increasingly normalized over time. These values need to be established now so that these practices can be normalized in the future. We cannot put off starting to get ready for what is on the horizon any longer. So, I think we're at the end of the video, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, then give this video a thumbs up and smash that subscribe button and press the bell icon so that you will never miss any update. And if you have any questions or queries on your mind, tell me in the comment box, and also check out our channel where you'll find more really cool stuff.